Well, if you've ever found yourself on the losing end of a customer service battle, fear not. Our next guest has advice on how to ensure that you get what you want. He is Ron Burley, consumer advocate and author of Unscrewed, the Consumer's Guide to Getting What You Paid For, which is an interesting title to a book. Why the name, Ron? I mean, I'm guessing why, but you go ahead and tell us.
Well, of course, in the vernacular, all of us feel like we're getting screwed by companies. You know, the majority of companies are really trying to do a good job on customer service. But 7 million Americans are taking it on the chin from companies who fail to do the job.
So I read a book many years ago that said if you're unhappy with a company, there were two theories. One is to send them a note and say, you know, I was really unhappy with the service and, gee, you ought to try harder. The other one was a blasting, flame-throwing letter saying, I'll never see your store again. And somehow you get better response that way. What's your advice?
Well, you know, that's really old style. And what I bring out in the book, Unscrewed, the Consumer's Guide to Getting What You Paid For, is really a new style of letter writing. One of the techniques that I use is called spokesperson for the competition. And instead of writing a letter to the CEO of the company that you have a problem with, what you do is you write a letter to the CEO of their #1 competitor. But before you send it, you attach a note and send that to the president of the corporation that's giving you a problem, offering to become a spokesperson for their competition unless they take care of you right away.
Oh, so, all right. So bring up the brand X and talk about that.
Well, one of the ways there is that you leverage your consumer power. And that's what the book is about. It's not about shaking down companies or faxing black paper or anything like this. These are not guerrilla techniques. Customers really need to understand, though, that as long as the money is in our pocket, we do have financial leverage. And everybody is a consumer. And so if you can leverage your economic power by saying, I will become a spokesperson for your competition, putting my true story in the hands of every one of their sales reps. You can't shake down a company with this. But if you're truly being treated poorly, this is a way that you can use your real economic impact, backed by your true story of poor customer service, to get what you paid for.
All right. We do something called a kid segment here, Kid Money, in which we talk about different advice for kids. And one of them is maybe buy some stock for companies that kids know, you know, Disney or McDonald's or something. Yeah. But I see in your book where you're talking about maybe become a stockholder for other reasons.
Well, one of the things here is, and one of the challenges when I was writing this book, people would write me. I'm a national columnist for AARP magazine, 41 million readers. Write a consumer column for them. And one of the common things was, for example, when you're dealing with a big corporation, maybe a cell phone company, how do you make it in? And one of the techniques that we discovered was called Mr. Stockholder, and it goes like this. If you don't get through at the customer service line, go online, buy 10 shares of stock. Now something magical happens. You're not just a customer, you're an owner. So you can call the investor relations line and say, you know what? I don't think we should be treating our customers this way. And you can make a promise, say, I don't want to vote my proxy this year. I'm going to show up at the annual meeting in New York City. And at that point, they'll usually stop you and say, how can we take care of you?
Ah, you're an owner. You're not just a customer. All right. What about...
That's right.
What another technique you talk about is changing the phone number of who you call. Is that right?
Well, one of the things that companies do, I mean, they want to streamline customer service because customer service is very often seen as an expense reduction department rather than a customer retention department. And they set up a cattle chute of customer service, an 800 number with voicemail and things like this. If you change the number you're calling and don't call the customer service line again, if you didn't get help the first time, don't call it again. Change the phone number, call the sales department. 3 things are going to happen, all of them good. First of all, you're going to get a hold of the company that you want to deal with rather than a third-party customer service company that's maybe overseas. This person's going to be in-country, an employee of the company that you want to deal with. Secondly, the person's going to answer the phone right away. They want to make sales. And lastly, you're dealing with someone who has been trained to create happy customers, not to make people go away. We've calculated that your chances of getting what you paid for, of getting satisfaction, increase 4-fold just by calling the sales department rather than the customer service line.
Good idea. Good idea. And there's many more good ideas in your book. Unscrewed is the name of the book. And Ron Burley in Eugene, Oregon, thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having us on, Tom.
You bet. Cheryl?
Well, black entrepreneurs are coming into their own, and black women are in the forefront. We're going to look at the trend next here on Fox Business.